This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome to Sunday Morning on Wish TV. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. If you are an entrepreneur, or if you want to be one, we're talking to you. Here you'll get tips from people who've been through the process of starting and running their own small business. We talk to successful owners, community leaders, our own team of experts. They know what lies ahead for you and want to share that information so you can also become a successful entrepreneur. Our goal is to share useful and compelling stories that focus on diversity, equity, and opportunities. Each of the show's 7 segments are designed to cover the important and often misunderstood topics that you're certain to face when you're starting a small business. You can watch the show a number of ways, right here every Sunday, or catch the live stream on wishtv.com. Plus, you can access much of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. That site keeps growing with new content and additional resource information all the time. And when you want more, we have a podcast, a way to listen to us at your convenience. So let's get down to business. Here's what's coming up today. Expert insight if your business plan includes product development. The Indiana Arts Commission is making grants available. See if you could qualify. Meet a local high school student who's already working to curb nanoplastic pollution. We return to the world of accounting and bookkeeping. Get more insight about mental health assistance. Last week's focus was employees. Today we look at you, the boss. Our industry focus is on cybersecurity, and we'll have another success story. Getting started, what to do when you have a new product idea that you know can be successful. To bring that idea to reality and stay on budget, you may want to talk to a product design and development company. We found one right here in Indiana.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Jason Andrews is the managing executive of Catalyst Product Development Company. Last week, he showed us how they could take your idea from concept to production in our industry focus. This week, he helps us understand the importance of proper budgeting for product development in your business plan.
Yeah, Catalyst Product Development Group has been around for 23 plus years now. We started in 1999. Small business to start up. We came from a lot of engineers and industrial designers. They have a background in industrial design and engineering, and a team that came together as a group to solve problems in the design and product development field throughout different roles and responsibilities of people here at our company. But started in 1999. Again, we focus on product development from start to finish with our customers. Yeah, again, we do a lot of different things with entrepreneurs as well as large companies, but the entrepreneurs come to us and they may not understand the whole process. And here in Indiana, we work with them closely. We have a lot of local entrepreneurs that we help, and we can take it from, again, start to finish on the project for them. And we also give them the knowledge base of what it takes to get something to market. A lot of them come in and they don't understand the process, so we're able to walk them through those process steps from the beginning, even though their idea, they have one idea and they're kind of maybe have the blinders on with that. We'll actually help them open up their ideas and maybe that they haven't thought about. So we use the team here to help with that, as far as just opening up their minds to different things and maybe different ideas on their specific project. And then we also take it and develop it, and then we can also build maybe their first, small run of product for them, and they can actually use that themselves. The one-stop shop helps us develop the product here for them, and they can take it into production on their own. They're gonna run maybe smaller volumes than a typical corporation may do. So we're able to help with that. We take it from, so that's when we would get into our tooling and our injection molding process with them and make small volume. They're right here in-house. They can come on site, be a part of the whole process steps, and give feedback as we move along. And then it gives them the opportunity to take that on their own and go down to different avenues of what they would want to do from maybe selling or marketing standpoint. The biggest thing would be maybe knowing your budget, understanding what it takes to take something from a napkin sketch or an idea to a full-blown development. So we try to train them and try to give them insight on what a budget's going to be for the development side, where you have to do the industrial design and the engineering portion of the project, maybe even some prototyping. So that's one aspect of the budget, and then two would be the capital costs that it takes to build the components or build the actual product itself, as far as what the cost there is going to be. And then also onto the production side, what are the costs of the units going to be? So we can give them all that information as we build the scope of the program and build upon the development of it. And then they'll have ideas of what their budget's going to be downstream from a capital standpoint, as well as what it's going to take to get to production, as well as what they're going to be able to sell the product for, on the market. On the industrial or intellectual property side, we try to point them in the right directions if it's a good idea to cover their intellectual properties. Depending on what it is, there's quite an investment in that as well. Definitely look at them getting provisional patents. That keeps it a lower cost for them, but then it also gives them time to also develop the product without maybe going to a full-blown patent if they need to, which is much more costly and much more time-consuming for them. But that would give them the opportunity to get their product developed, maybe look into some investment that they may not have at this point, and then go on from there. We can't give a lot of clients advice on what they should do. So on the business plan side, they definitely want to look at what the funding is going to be for something like this. And they may not have that when they come in here. I think sometimes their mind is maybe off a little bit or skewed maybe to what it takes to actually get something developed or placed on the market, right? So the development cycles can be costly depending on what kind of market they're going into, consumers or medical and things. There's a lot of different regulations and the specifications that you have to meet depending on where your product's going to land. So from a business development standpoint, as far as business models for them, I think that plays into it. We can give them an idea of the costs and the budgeting that they would need up front for that when they're building their business plan.
Getting Started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
As you get started, if you want more information about Catalyst and product development, you can find it at beoshow.com. Up next, if your path is a nonprofit, your access to capital may come in the form of grants. We'll explain when Business Equity and Opportunities returns. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities, and opportunities in accessing capital. In a nonprofit organization, grants can be a big part of the budget, so it pays to know where to look. Right now, the Indiana Arts Commission is offering 2 different grants.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, access to capital.
Miah Michaelsen is the Executive Director of the Indiana Arts Commission. Applications are now open for 2 different grants that offer forms of support. She explains about the grants and why the arts are so important to all businesses in the state.
So we've got 2 programs. Our 2 core programs support 501c3 arts organizations and organizations that do arts projects across the state. Our biggest program is called Arts Organization Support, and that's for 501c3 organizations that identify as arts organizations. In other words, that's their mission, that's their core purpose, that's how their community recognizes them. They operate year-round, and they're across the state. So that's Arts Organization Support. And then Arts Project Support is a grant program for organizations. They may be arts organizations, or they may not. They may be other kinds of 501c3s, but they do arts projects. They may also be units of government. We support quite a few parks departments and city governments that do arts programming for their residents, and that program is also available statewide. So those are 2 important to us programs in which we invest in arts and creative activity across the state. Important components of both these programs are the employment of artists and creative folks, and in fact in both programs we ask about how each employs and works with the creative sector with their particular organization or in their particular community. So it's important to us that our organizations and projects and grant programs support the creative sector directly, and so that's a really important priority for us. We do that through these two programs. We also do that in other ways in the agency. So yeah, the creative sector is a significant economic sector in the state of Indiana. Yeah, so we see this in Indianapolis. We also see it statewide. Where there are arts organizations cited, other businesses crop up. So you have a theater, you have an arts center, you have an artist studio complex. All of a sudden you've got a restaurant, you've got a coffee shop, you've got other kinds of businesses that want to co-locate in that area because arts activity brings people. It creates activity, people come together, and other businesses are automatically drawn to those places because there's a high amount of creative activity and just activity as it relates to folks interacting with those organizations. So they are absolutely creative clusters, and they provide opportunities for other businesses to relocate and grow. And we see in particular in rural communities, those communities that have in arts organizations such as performing arts organizations like theaters and so forth, see a significantly larger amount of economic activity in those small rural places because they have theaters and theater organizations in their communities. So there's a lot of national research that shows that the existence of arts organizations in communities raises the economic level for those communities and the people that live there. So quality of place is a really important factor that recruiters look at as it relates to whether they should locate a business in a particular state or in a particular community. What's the quality of life? And one of the important indicators of quality of life and quality of place is the kind of cultural organizations and opportunities that happen in those communities. So we are more and more hearing from mayors and elected officials in places all over the state saying, tell us how to support the creative activity that's in our communities so that we can continue to be a place that's attractive to recruiters and relocation specialists as they think about, again, attracting businesses as well as attracting employees, because people want to live in places that have a lot going on, that have a lot to do and have a lot of opportunity. And we're seeing more and more recruiters, corporate recruiters and business relocation specialists wanting to go places where the employees are versus citing a business or corporation and assuming the employees are going to go there. So we're seeing lots and lots of communities really investing and thinking hard about how to support their creative community, again, so that they can build quality of place. And we all appreciate having a lot of quality in the places we want to live, whether that's creative activity, other sorts of small business activity. So we found that creative activity is a really important component of quality of place. We are very much focused on capacity building. It's important to us that arts organizations, folks doing arts projects and creatives have the tools that they need to expand or support their organization, or to build, in the case of a small business creative, how to grow their small business. So we see the arts as an economic sector, and we invest in the same way that other organizations and entities support specific economic sectors in the state. It's really important to us. So let's talk a little bit about tourism. So we know for a fact that arts and creative entities and organizations and events are a really important part of our tourism story here in Indiana. A lot of folks come to those both big cultural events, festivals and so forth, but also those small homegrown events. And those are important sources of tourism, which brings all sorts of revenue and spending into communities. And we know that folks who are come for creative and cultural tourism spend more than average tourists. And so it's important to recognize that the creative and cultural sector has a really important impact on tourism here in the state. And we're proud to work with those entities in trying to support tourism and help our organizations be better attractions as it relates to supporting the tourism industry here in the state.
Coming up, we meet a very young local inventor and innovator who's created a quick way to detect nanoplastics in our drinking water. Her story is on the other side of these messages. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. This is Wish TV. This week in business, we talk nanoplastics, tiny particles that come from plastic items as they break down over time. Environmental experts warn that they can end up in the soil and our water supply. Detecting them has long been difficult and time-consuming, but a local high school freshman may help change all that.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. This week in business.
Our friends at the Hamilton County Reporter introduced us to a remarkable university high school freshman named Vidhatri Iyer. She has developed a quick way to detect harmful nanoplastic contamination in drinking water. With the help of Bob Roudebush, who's a lab coordinator and a mentor at Trico Regional Sewer Facilities, Vidhatri is an entrepreneur in the making on a mission to keep our water safe.
So I started my journey with finding out about nanoplastics in my water research around 6th grade when I came here to Trico for just a tour of the facilities. And there I really fell in love with the world of reusing water and finding out how much characteristics water has. From there I did some research and I started looking at how much plastic contaminations in our daily water use. 12.5 million tons of plastic are dumped into our oceans each day, and so that really affects each of our waters. And so we can always measure how much plastic there is. There's easy ways to measure plastics and microplastics, but not very much for nanoplastics. And that's where I got interested. So really the only way to measure nanoplastics is through a very big way called spectroscopy, and that can only be done by very big labs. So I really got interested in trying to find a way that was field testable and really rapid, just to see how much nanoplastic load is in each of the water samples I test. So this is a handheld fluorometer device. It was custom made by AMI Sciences, and this can detect fluorescence in solutions. And so basically what you do is you take a water sample and you insert it right here. And then you close it, you turn on the device, and it reads you how much fluorescence. So what I do is I add a fluorescent dye into each water solution, and then I run it through the fluorometer. And that dye loosely binds to plastics, which then the fluorometer can detect. And that tells me how many plastic particles are in there. So first I take my water sample. And I put it into this tube. And then I would add my dye, but which I don't have right now. But I would take that water sample and put it into this 0.3 ml tube. I then put it into the fluorometer, close, and I hit measure. And then it comes out with my result right here.
It's amazing. So something would take months to do, you've just done in less than a minute, probably.
Yep.
Wow.
It's very rapid, it's very fields testable, it's just really easy. Trico has been great, especially Mr. Bob Roudebush. He's been really great with my journey and he's always supported me here. They've been really helpful, allowing me to use their lab for everything.
Well, I've been here for about 14 years. I run the lab here at Trico Regional. I have an environmental science background. I went to Indiana University and received the degree in environmental science. Through there, just loved the environment, kind of just honestly landed in this position, but because of the microbiology and kind of saving the environment every day, I really fell in love with this profession. I used to judge science fair projects, and so I have seen a lot of very brilliant young kids, but whenever somebody that young comes up and has a project that they want to actually try to figure out a method to discovering, how to get from one point to the next, I mean, it's really amazing when it comes down to the scientific, breakthrough that really it could happen because of this project. Even if she's stuck with this, nanoplastics are a huge thing in today's environment. They've been found all the way in people's bloods. Healthy human beings, they've been able to find particles of plastic in people's bloods. So it's obviously, with it being inundated in our daily lives, it's not going away.
Hopefully, I'd love to continue my project with nanoplastics further and create a bigger impact with the community and hopefully get more community involvement with it, making sure that everyone knows that this is an option to testing our waters. So I've gone to some conferences with the River Alliance of Indiana, and I've also gone to a water summit, and I've talked there about my research and how it can be used. And so hopefully through this and a couple more different conferences, I can introduce my method to other people. I think always just follow your dreams. Like, I did not believe I could get here, but like, I had a lot of people who had some faith in me, and so that really helped me propel my idea. My dad and mom, they've always supported my ideas, and if I do have an idea, they make sure that I have the resources to carry out that plan and idea, and they're always really helpful with driving me everywhere I need to go. They're always there for me for support and all of that. I hope to continue my research in the environmental sciences, but I'd also love to become some sort of physician or researcher. Definitely just listen and try to be a bit more open-minded about the different techniques we can use to detect plastics.
When we return, accounting and bookkeeping. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunity.
Every business is unique, and every business has a target audience. Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble to reach a customer base that spans the globe. Pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. No matter the size of your business, put Circulus Digital Media to work for you and get results.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Time to talk accounting and bookkeeping. Last week, you might remember, we visited Numbers Count, a medical practice management firm that takes care of the books so that the doctors can focus on their patients. We visit Numbers Count again this week for more insight while keeping it in the family.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, accounting and bookkeeping.
India Maples Richardson is our expert this week. She co-founded Numbers Count with her sister, Letitia Maples Johnson, who spoke with us last week.
For me, I do a lot of the day-to-day, the bookkeeping. So just making sure that I am taking the financials that we are provided and booking them in the right categories so that we can use that information and at the end of the month produce reports that are valuable and that are needed, such as like your balance sheet and your P&L, your profit and loss. Tracking your expenses to see kind of everything that you've spent, and then definitely, which I just said, the revenue, which is all the money that we got coming and flowing in. So we got to make sure that's there. Having a grasp of how much you have coming in, and then also how much you have going out, which is going to be the expenses. So the biggest part is to know how much are we getting in and how much do we have, and then again, knowing and understanding what comes out of that, such as it could be your payroll, it could be all your expenses, such as your, well, they are your expenses, but it's gonna be like your utilities, and again, your biggest one is probably going to be your payroll, but keeping track of that is very important. It lets you know where your business is at all times, and that's why the bookkeeping is so important, because it gives you an overview of exactly where you are. Because we always tell our clients, it's not really what's in your bank account right now that matters. The biggest thing is what it really looks like after you receive that money in. What do you have from there to pay out? So the reports that you are provided monthly will also help you with that, to know where you're at, and also help you along when you're trying to do anything such as like get a loan or buy a new building or anything like that, it's very important to keep up with that bookkeeping and keep those numbers accurate so that you're able to forecast what it is that whatever your goal may be, whether it be open a new practice, if it's whatever, numbers count is going to help you get where you need to be just by providing us with that information, and then we'll provide you with your reports so that you're able to do whatever you need. Being accurate in general is important, just because those numbers are going to help you along the way. So you want to make sure that you have everything together and that everything is to your knowledge. So outside of the accountant or the bookkeeper doing the work, you want to make sure you're also going in and verify that these numbers are right and that this is accurate, because that is going to be sent off, especially like you said, especially that first quarter where you're getting ready for them taxes and getting things like that together. You definitely want to make sure that everything is correct and you're going over it yourself. As long, alongside your accountant or your bookkeeper, you want to make sure that those numbers are as accurate as possible. When filing taxes, you don't want to, anything outdated can be an issue. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up with it and that and as an accountant, that you're staying on top of it, because that can hurt a business by doing anything incorrectly or doing anything that could possibly be outdated. So keeping up with that, and that also when you're submitting or even going into doing the taxes, it makes it for a smoother ride as well. You just don't want your clients to have any type of surprises, things they didn't know, things that they didn't foresee because you didn't know the updates and know what it is. So I think it's very important, because this can hurt a business if you're not doing it correctly. It can financially be a real issue. Mostly it's going to be your bank statement. Your bank statement is going to give us the information that we need. Now, there may be other things that here and there, like very little things that we may have questions about, but the biggest thing that the small business can provide their accountant that will help them with their books is their bank statement, and just making sure you're providing them all the information they need to know about that bank statement. I would say the biggest thing is everything can be corrected. So don't feel like, I haven't got this done, because sometimes people don't keep up with the books as well, or don't do a good job. So they're like, I'm missing stuff, I don't have stuff, and they just feel like they're scared. It's like a deer in the headlights. They've missed a couple things. So at that point, we just let them know it's okay. Everything can be fixed. Anything can be fixed. And we're here to help you. We will guide you along the way. Numbers count. We'll hold your hand through that process. We don't want you to be scared about it, because we know that we can help, and that whatever you have done or possibly felt like you've done incorrectly, we can fix it. So anything can be corrected. Bookkeeping is important because numbers count.
For more information about accounting and bookkeeping or any of the topics that we cover here on our show, visit BEOshow.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter. We update it every Tuesday. Also, subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast and listen at your leisure. Next, part 2 of our look at mental health in the workplace. It's coming up in 95 seconds. You tuned in to Business Equity and Opportunities, and thanks for that. I'm Scott Sander. Time for running your business day to day. Stress clearly can be a constant companion of a small business owner. In this Mental Wellness Month, we look at how that stress can affect you.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Last week, we spoke with Amy Hurt, Clinical Supervisor of the Crisis Intervention Unit at Eskenazi Health. She spoke about what employers can do if they suspect an employee is struggling with their mental health. But what if it's the boss who needs some help? Amy's back with more.
I think it's even higher for small business owners, for people that own their own business. The stress of trying to keep the doors open, maintain their financial stability, as well as the employees that they have working with them, lends itself to a lot of stress and makes it difficult for business owners to remember that they too are human. And sometimes I feel like they think they have to be super people, superhumans that can't take time out for themselves or to even honor, hey, I'm having a rough day here. Very often they need to put themselves out there as being the one that's always in charge, and that all-knowing and the all-powerful and well. When you are feeling physically fatigued, when you are feeling emotionally fatigued, when your mannerisms start to change, if an individual starts to feel more tearful, if they feel as if their emotions are not as easily in check, if they get triggered by situations or even by people around them, that might be a warning sign. If you feel like it's difficult to get out of bed and you feel like I would much rather stay here in my cocoon and pull the covers over my head, that's a very big warning sign that there might be some emotional challenges going on, and those really need to be tended to and cared for. First and foremost, remind themselves that they are human and that they too have emotions and feelings just like everyone else in the world. We spoke last week about some of the online platforms that can support people, some of the mindfulness, the meditation apps that are there. Those are good for the business owners as well, to meditate every morning or to turn something on, even if it's good music. That's a really helpful way for them to care for themselves. Exercise is another great way for them to care for their bodies. When we exercise, endorphins kick in, and it also supports our mental health and mental wellness. So any kind of exercise that they can do, whether it's biking or hiking or yoga, anything at all that helps support them, is a great way for them to take care of themselves as well. But it really comes down to giving themselves permission to take care of themselves and to take that pause as they might need to. So business owners need to remind themselves that they are important and that their mental health is important. If they are not taking care of themselves, they can't take care of their business, they can't take care of their employees, and very often things will start to feel out of control. And it's in those moments where folks really need to recognize, I need some support here. And it's okay to ask for help, either from those that love you or from professional support systems, to say, I need a timeout because I need to recognize that if I don't care for myself, I can't care for my business, for my family, for my employees, really for anyone around me.
If you'd like to learn more about mental health in the workplace or any element of running your business day to day, visit our website. It's beoshow.com. Next up is our industry focus. It is on cybersecurity. So stay with us. On Business Equity and Opportunities, we always like to focus on a certain industry each week. A topic that always seems to be in the news is cybersecurity and the risks that they bring to your business. We visited a company started by veterans with a mission statement that ends, leave no business behind.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Industry Focus.
Jeremy Miller is the CEO of Lionfish Cybersecurity in Westfield. Jeremy served in the Army Special Forces, a Green Beret. He looks forward to a world where all businesses are cyber resilient and no longer easy targets for attacks.
In the United States right now, about 2 years ago, we had about 500,000 cybersecurity jobs that were unfulfilled. Today, it's 760,000. universities, colleges, tech schools have been pumping out 60 to 70,000 students a year. That's about 140,000 students coming out, but our deficit has gotten bigger. We've got 31 million businesses in the United States. Those 31 million businesses, there's not enough cyber professionals to protect them. The ones that are going in and into the field out of college are ending up in mid-sized to enterprise company, and all of those people protect themselves. That leaves all these other businesses unsecure. So from a military background, as a Green Beret, I was looking at that going, holy cow, our whole middle market is at risk right now because they're the most vulnerable. And if we don't learn or figure out how to protect them, we're gonna be in trouble. So while everybody's trying to figure out how to fill those jobs, we're trying to figure out how to help those companies right now as a stopgap, because those jobs need filled too. But to do that, we use a methodology from the Green Beret. So we would go into another country, and in the country we'd go there and help stand up a village to defend itself, or we'd help train the commandos or their army, or sometimes, depending on which side of the world we were and what the government wanted to do, we might even be working with the opposition force to overthrow a government, right? But all along, that methodology is used with a small group of men and women, in some cases, to go and help raise up and be a force multiplier for the fight. And that force multiplying helps us not to send more boots on the ground because we don't have them, because we don't have the money, whatever those reasons are, or we just need a small footprint. Well, look at cybersecurity. There's not enough boots to put on the ground. How are we going to solve this problem now? Well, let's use this same methodology, just do it here at home. Right? So we've got multiple players here. We got colleges, we got service providers like a managed service provider, managed security service providers, and we got all these businesses that need help. Nobody's figured out how to do this at scale. And that's what we've done. We've built some technology using compliance frameworks like that a lot of companies need to use. And even companies that don't need that have, it has an element of cyber resilience to it, right? Because these are those same steps you need. These are the same tools that you need, right? Just because you don't need an audit doesn't mean that you don't need good cyber hygiene, because small businesses are the most vulnerable for hackers. So, as a small business owner, it's even more important for them to understand this as they go into the process. The process is going to be difficult for them anyways, right? Just owning a business is just insane for a business owner. So why would a business owner want to spend all of their time, all of their money and effort for them to lose it all in one go? I mean, it's because somebody logs in, takes all their stuff, locks them up, they go out of business. I mean, where'd your investment go, right? So cybersecurity is almost like insurance, right? You do need cyber insurance, and even cyber insurance now has got problems because they gave cyber insurance out, and people think, oh, I don't need to do anything at cyber insurance. Well, the problem is now cyber insurance says, well, you filled out our questionnaire, right? You said you had all these items, but you really didn't. So now, guess what, Mrs. Business Owner, we're not going to pay your claim. So I'm sure capital is starting to go, wait a minute, our investment's unsecure, right? I know that when you have mergers and acquisitions, what are they going to look for? Somebody's going to buy your company, want to make sure that you're okay. Otherwise, that's part of what they've got to do then is extra money, and they're going to lose that in that process. All of the primes, all of the big companies have subs. They have all these companies that do smaller things for them, and they're starting to say, hey, wait a minute, if my supply chain goes down, my whole business model gets screwed up and my investors are gonna get mad. So they're starting to push this. It's gonna be trickled down. I mean, it's coming, right? It's been for years that it wasn't like that. People just penciled it, but that's changing very rapidly right now. We wanna do something bigger than ourselves, and we wanna include everybody else in that mission. Right? Just like in World War II, you had Rosie the Riveter, we need the bail bonds, and people just came out because they wanted to help. This is the same part that I was going over with 6 teams going in, and they got all these people that have disjuncted ways they want to go, and bring them all together and be focused. That's what gets me excited. And we're building this parachute on the way down, which is also kind of exciting because we're falling pretty fast, right? So and nobody's done it. So we've got to figure out how to do it. It's not easy to figure that out. You know, there's always, if you go back to your small business segments, just like every small business, you hit a wall, you got to figure your way around it, or you got to figure how you're going to punch through it.
If you'd like more information about Lionfish and cybersecurity in general for your business, visit our website. It's beoshow.com. When we return, it is our success story. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities.
Every business is unique, and every business has a target audience. Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble to reach a customer base that spans the globe. Pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. No matter the size of your business, put Circulus Digital Media to work for you and get results.
Our time is running short. Time to wrap things up with our success story. Over the last few weeks, we've introduced you to several of the champions of diversity. This morning, meet another. It is today's success story.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities Success Story.
Tingo T is the president and CEO of TechPoint, an Indiana nonprofit dedicated to growing the technology industry here. She's also this week's success story.
I grew up in China and went to one of the best schools, college over there, and believe it or not, I majored in English. So liberal arts was my background, and trained in liberal arts and read a lot of poetry and novels while in college. Good timing. And right in 2001, I remember vividly, right before 9/11s, like many other newly minted graduate student here, I landed at Purdue University because they were generous enough to give me a full ride, a scholarship. That's what got me to Purdue, and ended up doing a graduate study in American Studies. As a liberal art training background, to be honest, I originally thought about journalism, communication, marketing. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do, or even what was available to me. But in hindsight, I think some of the communication skill set and the critical thinking skills that I didn't fully appreciate at the time probably helped me along the way in my career development. But long story short, after graduate school, I got married to American. I was a Hoosier by choice. 21 years now, very proud Hoosier by choice. My husband is a Hoosier by birth. He's from Southern Indiana, and he and I met at Purdue in class at Purdue. So I was very grateful for Purdue for both my professional, get my career launched, education completed, and a personal life launched. And we moved to Indy because he got a job in Indy, and just purely by accident, I landed at the General Counsel's Office for International Hedge Fund that was founded by some of the Purdue Alumni Network alum. And this really introduced me to the world of finance. Two things I knew out of that experience. One is I know I wanted to stay in the business of finance, because very smart, driven people, committed, driven people. I love working with them. And two, I also know in order to build a career there, I have to brush up on my general business understanding and number crunching skill sets. So I went back to Kelly to get my MBA. That was right before the financial crisis. So it was, we moved down to Bloomington. Originally, I wanted to get into corporate finance because we had a one-year-old son at that time. I knew kind of the corporate finance was the career path I was envisioning, but when the financial crisis happened, which led to a different path, which ended up being an internship at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. That was the summer of 2009. My primary summer internship project at the time, was to do portfolio analysis of this 100+ companies. That was Indiana Economic Development Corporation, through the Indiana 21st Century Research and Technology Fund, has put money towards in the last 10+ years. And obviously the conclusion was in part because of the disruption in the financial marketplace. A lot of these companies need help. That's which led us to go around and look in the countries, is there any other model beyond just a grant program that can really make a difference in terms of a success rate of these young startups, which 2 years later led to the creation of Elevate Ventures as independent nonprofit that was primarily investing state resources for these venture development activities, and I was fortunate to be one of the founding team, or the first. I was employee number 2, Elevate, so that was 11 years ago. And when this TechPoint opportunity opened up earlier this year, I have to admit, to leave some of the venture roles behind was a little tough, in part because that was my baby. But this provides such a community building opportunity beyond just a capital piece. It's something that was very attractive. Like I said, I've known this. I've been watching some of the great work TechPoint team and CICP team are doing for well over a decade. And now we have a terrific team, a terrific platform to tackle various big problems. Capital is one of them, but it's by no means the only one. Issues that we're trying to solve for the prosperity of the state of Indiana. So I'm very grateful to be here today. I think for me is no matter what it is, when I get up every day and knowing that there's going to be some challenges, no matter big or small, coming there that day, but the people that we work with, we know no matter what the challenges are, problems are, we're going to solve those problems and we're going to make a difference. We're going to do quality work. I think that having really daily aspiration to show up every single day to quality work, no matter big or small, is something that's driving me.
Thanks for joining us for Business Equity and Opportunities, and thank you to all of the contributors who shared their stories, their insights. We hope you found what they had to say helpful to your success. You can always find more information through our website. It's beoshow.com. There you can find the segments from the show designed to interest anyone thinking about starting a business, currently operating one, want to make one grow and be even stronger. For even more, listen and subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. It's part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Sign up for our newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information, updated frequently. If you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We always enjoy hearing from you. We hope you join us again next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 10 here on Wish TV, or stream the show on wishtv.com. For now, I'm Scott Sander. Have a good Sunday and join us next time for Business Equity and Opportunities.
Business Equity and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation.